Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We got JD and we got Virginia, and this is Back to the Futures. It is cloudy and rainy in Chicago, so we brought Virginia in to brighten this place up. Virginia, welcome. You have an incredible following in chat
Order
already.
filled.
The most hyped chat has ever been for a guest appearance. So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today?
Doing wonderful,
amazing.
yeah. You see the Virginia Army has definitely entered the chat. They've been in there for about 20 minutes actually, waiting for you to get on here. So
These are
welcome to
raid.
everybody that just joined us for this segment. Let's get rolling.
We legitimately got
All
raided
right.
by our fans, Virginia, which is incredible. So,
Um,
Virginia, would love to start asking you some questions. How did you, or when did you get into trading?
I got into trading just a hair over 2 years ago, actually.
Ooh.
I started, I'm just a little bit of a baby trader. I started because I found a coach her name was Jessica Ramos, and her school was I found on YouTube, called Millionaire Trader Society. And I kind of just happened to be on YouTube because I like to watch YouTube reviewers who watch movies. It's just kind of a hobby of mine. And I scrolled across her, did my due diligence, and started looking into stock options. And I'm like, ooh, this looks like, you could make some kind of money. What is this about? And so I hopped on a Zoom call with her, and she basically explained to me that you can make money in the markets. And I come from, stepping back, I come from a medical background. I'm a medical assistant by trade. And so I know nothing about trading. I had no trading history whatsoever. And so the idea of stepping into trading was very much a foreign language for me. And she said, I can teach you the basics, and then we can go from there. Just give me, full due diligence, and always give me 100%. Don't pretend like you're going to learn and then not really put in the work and the effort. And so I really took it like an educational based effort, and I studied. I learned all the linguistics, the Greeks of stock options, and it took me about a month. And then I dove into trading, and I started trading Tesla and fell in love with it. A lot of people don't like Tesla, but that's my personal preference. And after about 5 weeks of trading, I took my first Tesla trade and I won. And it was like 240 bucks, 250 bucks, but it was like 15 minutes. And, not to down anybody's pay, but I live in California. And so roughly that's about an 8 hours day pay before taxes come out. And I had just made that in 15 minutes, right? So like I was like, what? Like where did like that kind of blew my mind that was even a possibility,
Right.
So I didn't know that was a thing, you know what I mean? I come from, you work 9 to 5. That's just all I knew my whole life. So I'm like, okay, let's get into this more. In about 90 days, I had flipped my account and turned it into a $3,000.
Wow.
And that's when I realized, oh, excuse my French, but this is real money. Like the markets are real. This is, I can take this out and I can pay rent. I can pay groceries. This is real money. And so then I just kept pushing with it, and I kept pushing, and stock options became my baby, and I became known as the Tesla Queen. And
I
very
love
much
that name.
wear that proudly. Yeah, that's my handle. You'll see it all over my page because that's all I really care about. I've traded other stocks like SPX. I love Meta, but I always find myself running back to Tesla. It's kind of like that comfortable sweatshirt that you have where you're just like, it fits right no matter how many times you wash it. You're like, it knows everything about me. You know what I
It
mean?
has your
So
smell, has the rips in all
it
the
has
right
my
places.
smell. It
Oh
fits me
yeah.
perfectly.
Maybe some dog
All the
hair.
fuzzies are just right.
Yeah.
I swing Tesla on the weekends and I do great. But I also scalp it in the morning before work because I do have to be to work by 7:30 in the morning my time. So I usually will do about a 5-minute trade. I scalp very quickly, and my goal is never monetary. It's percentage goal. So it's about 5 to 15% every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't really understand. They go for, I want for money. And I'm like, you'd be surprised if you just go for a percent, it starts to add up, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And I started seeing my account grow and grow and grow. Recently I've been promoted in my job, which is great. It's fantastic. But within
You're
the
just
past
winning all
6
over the
months,
place.
All W's.
just big game over here, just winning.
I
But
love it.
within the past 6 months, I am also a mother of 2 boys. It requires a lot of my attention, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very strict with my schedule, and I require my time of day to be very like on point at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And so my coach, love her to death. Again, shout out to Jessica Ramos, because not just teaching me in stock options, she became more of a friend, over the past 2 years, and kind of noticed that my trading had kind of taken not necessarily losses, but I just kind of backed off, or, I just kind of wasn't as vibrant as I usually am. And she said, what's going on? And I said, my schedule conflict. Stock options is only open 6:30 a.m. till 4 o'clock, and then you're done and you
Mm-hmm.
can't trade. And although there is forex, the way I look at it, for me, no offense to anybody out there, is like chump change. It's not worth holding all these long pips for $50. Like, woo, good for you. It's like, I want to go for big money. And that's when she introduced me to futures. And she started showing me these charts, started showing me the assets like Nasdaq,
Mm-hmm.
S&P 500. I mean, I found out you could trade corn, cocoa. I'm like, you could trade cattle, for crying out loud.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same market, it's the same candles, it's still
Mm-hmm.
market structure, but you can trade it 24/7. And I went, hold the phone. That's what's going to work for me. And my schedule is, when I get off of work around 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I can come home, get my dinner done, get my kids fed, homework done, and then I can sit down, look at my charts, and go, okay, where's the market at? You know what I mean? I can set my levels, I can see where it's at, I can get a couple plays in, I'm done. I can go to sleep. I can wake up in the morning real quick. I can scalp a few ticks, grab a few $100, pass an account, and move on to my next combine, and it's
Right.
really convenient for time management. It's
Mm-hmm.
great for parents, because I'm always talking to
Order
people that are
filled.
like, I'm a mom, I've got kids, I work full time. How do you trade? And I'm like, the in betweens. It's really about time management and the in betweens, and that's where futures became very convenient for me, because I could do it outside of my work hours. And then I found that it became convenient because there are days when Tesla wants to be, I don't want to say that word, that's a bad word, um not nice. We'll say
Mm-hmm.
that she has days where she is unkind, and instead of feeling like, oh, I'm missing out on money, or, I didn't get moved today, or, dang, I really needed that money for rent. Well, you can make it in the futures market.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of provides a backup. And that's how I fell into the futures market. And I specifically trade NASDAQ, because it runs alongside of Tesla. So whatever NASDAQ is doing, it kind of prepares me for my Tesla moves. Whatever Tesla's
Nice.
doing, sure enough, NASDAQ follows through. So they're both just telling me what I'm doing. So there's no need for me to be trading any other symbols. I don't find it necessary to be hopping between markets. Maybe one day in the future when I've got 10 years under the belt, but right now as a newbie, I just stick with one symbol and work on mastering that for right now.
Wow.
That's
I love
awesome.
it.
Yeah,
You
that's a
you saw you took my cheat sheet with all my
excellent,
questions. You got like the first three.
excellent
I wouldn't
explanation
even
of
have
why
answered.
you chose that product to begin with. A lot of people just say they
Thank
love the
you.
volatility. They jump into the market and they're like, "Yeah, we love this. I love the swings. I love getting in and out real fast." But having an actual, purpose for trading the Nasdaq, having one of those underlying instruments, that you're tracking all day long and trading the futures off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we need you to come back on and talk about this more and more and more to some of our traders too. This is really
I would
really
love to.
useful for sure. And I want to quote that clip. This is when you first started talking. You said, "Wow, this money is real. This is real money. I can use this to pay rent." Uh, that escapes so many people too, because the way that they're playing some of these accounts, gaming it, and trying to YOLO into thousands and thousands of dollars per minute. But no, you step back and look at it. If you sort of extrapolate it, $300 a day is $75,000 a year, and that adds up every single day,
Right.
making a few bucks every single day. It's real money uh, that
Right.
real people can use in their everyday lives. So I love that you
Right.
said that. I love everything else that you just said too.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dolby.
Oh,
Go ahead,
I mean,
Dolby. I know you had a list of questions.
there's just so many questions we can ask you, Virginia. What you said about the $250 at work after an 8-hour shift, I can totally relate to you because I was a restaurant guy for a long time, and you make 250 at a restaurant after 8 hours, and like that was a great day, but you make 250 in a trading account, and it's like this was a shitty day. Did you struggle with the kind of the paychecks that you get from work and like just wonder like what am I doing here when I could be at home trading, or do you have something else that kind of anchors you to your job?
There are days. I mean, there are days where I have, I'm not gonna lie, there are days when I have a bad day at work and I go, wow, like I did all this work. I do have days. I'm in healthcare industry. So if you work in
It's
the
hard.
healthcare industry, there are days, and I work with veterans. There are days when I get yelled at for no reason. I'm having a bad day. I get screamed at, and it's why didn't you get this? And I'm just sitting there like, mm, okay. And I
Order
just pray.
filled.
I pray to Jesus, to get me through this, because to get me to the other side, get me to my lunch break so I can go trade and remember, like get
Mm-hmm.
me to the other side. I don't, but I have to remember that also healthcare has also been in my blood since I was a child. I've always
Mm.
wanted to work in the industry because it's bigger than me. When you're helping people in that industry, you're helping people because you have an innate sense that it's not about you. It's about helping people that don't have the ability to get help for themselves. You have that
Mm.
ability to step on the line. When when the pandemic broke out, I worked that entire pandemic. Had I had known about trading,
Wow.
I would have probably traded that pandemic and been able to work half the hours. But I was working 100 hours a week during the pandemic when people
Well,
were at
thank you.
home,
Mm-hmm.
doing nothing. I worked. I was scrubbed up. I was doing those things and proudly, and I don't think people really realize how serious it is when you take on the hat, regardless of what your title is. It doesn't matter if you're a secretary, a receptionist, medical assistant, LVN, RN, no matter what you are, working in the healthcare industry is saying, I'm going to do this because this is not about me. This is because there are people out there that are sick, that need help, and I'm going to do a selfless act. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to possibly get cough on or spit on today because these people need help, and if I don't go to work and do my job, nobody else will. So I personally love my job. Some people
Mm-hmm.
say it's you have gluttony for pain. It's kind of a sick joke between the industry, but I
Oh, well,
can't turn
trading's
myself
perfect for
away
you
from
then.
it. Exactly. That's why I'm cut out for it. You know,
Yeah.
um, Essentially, like people always, I've been messaged several times. Well, now that you're a successful trader, aren't you going to quit your job and work trading full time? Well, why? You know what I mean? Aren't you a successful trader? Why don't you want to buy a Lamborghini? For what?
Good
You know what I
question.
mean? Like that's gonna cost a lot of money. If I hit a sidewalk, that's too much money. I drive an Acura. That costs enough. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I don't need to do the fancy stuff. I like working in healthcare industry, but you know what? With politics being crazy, I like knowing that I have a backup plan that nobody
Order
knows about.
filled.
That it's mine. That I like knowing that I have a plan B. That it's not necessarily, well, it's broadcasted now, but it's more of a plan B that's more secure in my opinion than just having a 401k or just having a
Mm-hmm.
Gerber life plan. You know what I mean? I have set up trading accounts that are far beyond just my futures accounts. I have multiple stock options accounts for my children. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I set up multiple accounts that one's a swing trading, one's for day trading, one's for scalping, and I choose which one I want to trade that day, and I build them up, and that's for long term longevity. So this isn't just for so I can go to the beach and have fun one day. This is long term. I take trading as a career. This is very serious
Love
to
the
me.
attitude. Yeah.
When it comes to
For
futures,
sure.
I want to build not so I can have money and be on Instagram flashing hundreds of bills. I essentially, I would like to be hired by a prop firm one day. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
not my goal, but,
Just some bands.
I want
Yeah,
to
why not?
do, you know, I mean, I would like to book a couple private jets, maybe a few times, but
It'd be
essentially,
fun.
like, I'm looking to do this, like, I want to do this long term. I want to be able to, like, if I need to take a day off or call in sick, I don't want it to be like, oh, do I have enough time? I don't have to worry about that. I have money in the bank. You know what I
If you
mean?
called in, if
Like,
you called in sick, would you still trade?
yeah,
Good
I
question.
just won't post it. I just won't post it.
Keep it secret that day.
I will trade, but I just will not
No
post it.
post.
I'm smart about it.
Yeah,
I'm
wait,
not
can you
like,
get
hey, look
busted?
what I made today. No.
Yeah, playing hooky at your own house, technically working another job. I don't know if that technically counts as playing hooky. I'm not sure if that works. This is
Right,
awesome.
right.
How
But
so
I mean, I've definitely been at times where, like, I've been sick in the hospital, where it
yeah,
was actually very, very known I had pneumonia. And so my job knew I was legitimately out sick. I had a doctor's note and had pneumonia. I was in the hospital for 6 days, and I was like, I'm out. I don't have sick time, but they said, you need to be out. You have pneumonia. Obviously you can't come to
yeah,
work.
right.
And I was able to trade futures, and I made what I would make at work in the week laying in the bed in the hospital, and I
Oh,
had enough
nice.
money and I was fine. And then the fourth day I made the surmise in stock options. So I was fine laying in the bed coughing up God knows what, you know what I
Hmm.
mean, in there. And it was just like, think about that though. Like, if I hadn't learned the skill from my coach, I'd be sitting there literally stressing over my sickness and also stressing over the fact that how am I going to cover my bills? Now I don't have to do that. When you learn how to trade, you build a skill set for life. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think they get these combines and they're like, I'm just trying to get rich. I'm just trying to get the payout. And a lot of people get the
Yep.
payout and then they choke. And a lot of people get that first payout and they're like, I made $1,000 on my first Top Step payout, and then you never see them again. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not rushing me, because that's not going to be my intent. I'm going to be here for a while. You know what I mean?
Nice, nice.
JD, do you have some questions? I got like a bunch, but I just want to make sure
We can ask. Yeah, we got a whole
you got
bunch
a
of questions.
chance.
Let's check into the markets. So,
All right.
you're an NQ trader. I got the MNQ
Mm-hmm.
chart up right now. What are we seeing in the
Mm-hmm.
markets right now? We're coming back
Order filled.
towards our highs at the moment. Are you seeing anything? Do
Yeah.
you have a trade on? You feel like putting a
I
trade
don't
on?
have a trade on, but I see that a pullback just happened and that it's retracing back to where it's supposed to go. So I like to trade on the 3 minute precisely,
Mm-hmm.
is where I identify my entries. So for example, I see that for the most part, NQ has been bullish today. Um, and so this whole move right here, a lot of people would trade this move, but I don't. I like to let it go ahead and pull back. And then the moment it pulls back, I like to identify where it pulled back to. So for example, I see that it pulled back to previous daily high. And so I notate that. And then I go ahead and then I would take this bullish move and I would go ahead and where's my favorites? My little favorites thing went up.
For
Oh, no.
indicators,
Yeah, my little indicators disappeared.
yeah, it should be right there. You might have to refavorite it. That's the bar where it
Yeah.
should be.
Oh, is this a new
Yeah,
account?
it disappeared on.
Well, typically, if you make a
That's
new
okay.
account, you should still have the same favorites for indicators.
Yeah,
But I
we'll
think
go like
sometimes
this.
maybe it gets. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. How rude of me.
But basically, that's what I would do. Is the move I like to play is the correct, staying in the correct trend, because I used to
Mm-hmm.
try and trade. I'm going to trade up, and then I'm going to trade down, and then I'm going to trade up. And what would happen is this move would a lot of times yank back on me and I would lose, or I would take a loss and then try and make up for the loss and then try and trade and make up for the fact that I took a loss. And it just became a hassle to become profitable, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to find my little, there we go. So I will take this initial move, the bullish trend here. I will allow her to pull back here and wait. And then what my favorite thing to do is to identify price action. And so I will look at the candles and read, what are the candles telling me? Are they telling me that it's going to go back up, or is this a complete rejection? And what I see here is I have a doji, and then I have a spinning top, which tells me, okay, this is a bullish reversal. So I will make sure to just wait. And if that means I need to go wash my dishes or go check on my kids, however long this may be, I don't know. Sometimes it could make me an hour, but in this particular moment, it was beautiful because we had news this morning. So it just turned right around. And as soon as it breaks up and above previous daily high, I wait for another candle to close above. I get a hammer candle, which again is a bullish candle. And then I enter my trade and I hold. And then I would take it up here. And that's the type of trader that I am. It's basically support and resistance. That's pretty much what I do. And if I can't identify what price action that, if I can't just see what's happening on here, I always like to go to the higher time frame levels, like the 4 hour is my favorite right now, because lately it's just been very choppy and I can't see what's happening. So when I go to the 4 hour, I can at least see that when I got up here, at one point we had a lot of 4 hour dojis, and that's why it yanked back so hard. And then I like to do a lot of boxes to identify where price action is holding. And then once I can see that, I dissect price action. Okay, well, it's holding on the higher time frame. Now what's happening? I'll go back down to a smaller time frame. Oh, okay. Well, look at what happened here. It created some type of support. Now that just means I need to be patient. And my biggest thing I've learned this year is patience is key. Even if that means hours, being patient is key. And my favorite plays are playing the M's and the W patterns. I'm looking for the little arrow thingy. Where did it go? There it is. Sorry. So I really like playing these patterns, a double bottom or a double top. It's my absolute favorite pattern because they're either going to absolutely play through or they're not. And so this leg you can play down and then wait for it to make the double bottom and reject the support. And then you can take the call and trade it up. And so I'm known for always being able to identify these in our group with my coach. And I will trade the W's. And then when it decides to pull back, it will always tend to create, ooh, that's beautiful. It will always tend to pull back, and this pullback will create some type of an M on the smaller time frame. So then I will go down to the 15-minute. And as you can see on the pullback, it goes 1, 2, and it pulls back down to here. And some people like to be scalpers, so I'll identify a trade if I can for them. And I'll do the same thing. Like if you came up to here, came down, came up to here, came down, that creates an M pattern. So I trade M's and I trade W's. I keep it very, very simple.
I like that. That's super simple.
I don't like to do anything too fancy, because then it becomes too much for me. It's like I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to do it too fancy. I just look for an M and a W, and if I can't see it, then I don't need to be trading. And if I can't see,
super simple.
Yeah, keep it super simple. There it is. There's my M. Boom. So I'll trade it up, stop, trade it up, trade it down, get out. And you can, of course, however, risky you prefer to trade, add as many contracts as you want. And you could always enter, like sometimes I'll enter 3 contracts here, and I'll sell off 1 here, sell off 2 here, sell off 3 here, and then I'm out of my trade for the day.
Nice. Virginia, I do want to bring in Eddie. We like doing this thing called jab, 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 which I think you'd appreciate. Just a kind of a shout out to all of our traders out there who are just fighting. fighting every day in these markets and, you know, trying to put up wins. And then Eddie, I think you're going to do the 20 questions or 40 questions as well after that, right?
We got a fun question for Virginia if she wants to participate. That'd be great. But first, we're going to be doing jab, jab, jab. We got a few here, so I'm going to zip through these here. Coming up here, let's see here. Here we go. Slow flow Manny. I had the craziest night last night. Went down $2,500. This was not a dream. I was able to claw myself back at the end of the night to profit 200. Jab, jab, jab. That's a perfect example of getting yourself back in a positive. David up 1,700, 83%. Went locked out. Great day. Thanks, David, for sharing that. Addie Hill, I just hit 4 winning days in a row. Week ever. I had after a countless blown account. So keep that up, Addie. Keep moving forward on that. Gabriel said, past another 100K, sitting on 5 XFAs. That's awesome. Scott Sands, I got down negative 800 pre-market. Worked my way back up to +8. Yes, up $8. Well, hey, $8 is $8 in Cicero. But green is green. You got that right, Scott. I'm glad the way you're not upset with that, and you're very happy that you are positive. Way to come back, jab, jab, jab. Jules and Brian, man, so upset with myself. I had 4 days in an expense account, blew it last night, not trading London session or more anymore. Each time, it's because of the night trading. Going to lock that out. Well, that's what we learned. Give it a try. You know what? Use that practice account if you have to. Mo, my good buddy Mo, has been with us here for a very long time at Top Step. Locked up at 30K on XFA today. One account, love lockout. Cool. I'm on a new dashboard where I do see my 25% codes. There you go. 25% on 5 different accounts. James B at 400 for the day. Locked it up. Jab, jab, jab. Good day for you, James. Way to end the week with $400. Mark Sky, locked myself out for the day and will be taking another payout. Thank you, Top Step. Way to go, Mark. Another payout. Good for you. Perky Ticks, locked out at plus 1,500. Way to end the week. And last but not least, Jimmy Crack Corn, and I don't care. Finish the week up 6K in 4 days on my XFA. I'm locking out my accounts until Tuesday because Mondays are horrible. Thank you all. Thanks, Jimmy Crack Corn. And that's what I've got here for Jab, Jab, Jab. Now, do we got time for those questions?
Most definitely. Let's do it.
Oh,
I think
okay,
so.
let's just go right into it. Okay, Virginia, I've got 40 questions. Pick a number. I'm going to ask you a question, and give us an answer, short answer if you'd like. Pick a number, 1 to 40.
Order filled.
28.
Really? All right. This one's nice. This is a nice one. All right. If your future self wrote you a letter, what's the one piece of advice you'd hope they'd give you? If your future self wrote you a letter, what would you like to get from that future you?
Ooh,
It's a heavy one.
that's deep.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Like, how far in the future? 5 years?
I
10
know.
years? 15 years?
Dear Miss Virginia, hey girl, how are you? You still look cute. Way to keep it thin. Stop stressing the small stuff. Okay, girl. When you look at other people's wins and you naturally feel this need to rush your own journey so you can be where they are, stop and take a moment to breathe, because your journey is not their journey. Your day one was not their day one. Competition is a thief of joy. Do not do it. You will get to where you need to be when it is your time.
There you
And
go.
Interesting thought.
Beautiful.
yeah,
Did you actually read that note? It sounded like you were reading it. Did you actually get that note? Sounds like you read it off the paper. Good stuff. Yeah. Like you
No.
said, don't sweat the petty things and don't bet the sweaty things. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Thank you,
There you
Eddie.
go. But
I wrote
Yeah.
that quote down, by the way.
there
Competition
you go.
is the
Comparison.
thief of joy.
Quote.
I wrote that down. I'm going to think about that for a
Comparison.
little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that's a great quote. That's also a great question too.
Yeah.
That's a
Thank
really
you.
good question, Eddie.
Tough question,
Thank
yeah.
you.
It is a tough question. Yeah.
Right? And what was the closing price of the Nasdaq on the day you wrote that letter? I'd have to throw that in also myself.
2,432. Yeah. Maybe 2,000. That's funny. All right, Virginia, we're coming up on time. I do like asking this question to people. If you were on a desert island, what would be the one indicator that you would take with yourself to the desert island? You only get one.
One indicator?
Yeah. Indicator,
One trading
methodology,
indicator. Yeah.
a trading indicator.
Order filled.
So I have Wi-Fi on this island.
Yeah, you get Starlink.
No, dialed up.
Oh wow.
All you have is a laptop. All you have is a laptop and TopStepX. And you
I
can
have
have one
laptop, TopStepX.
One
I've got
indicator.
and one
Wi-Fi.
indicator.
Unlimited coconut water.
The only indicator I use on here is the EMA smoothing average on 8.
Ooh, I think Mo uses
That's
the
all I
moving
like.
average too.
Order filled.
Yep.
Writing that
I
down,
don't
too.
I don't like VWAPs. I don't like anything other than that personally. It's just I think everyone uses what they use that's personal to them, which is fantastic. But for me, I use a smooth moving average, and I put it on 8, and I just like it because even on a smaller time frame, you can watch the candles bounce off of it, and then even when you go to a higher time frame, it follows the trend beautifully. So I find when you go to the higher time frame like this, you can see that it just holds the trend. Even if the candles pull back, it bounces off it like a trend. So for me personally, I like the smooth moving average at level 8. That's what works for me.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. JD, any final words before I let Virginia wrap this up?
Virginia, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for bringing the army out. You got a lot of love in the chat. Looking forward to having
Thank
you back
you.
on. We want to get you back on when you have time to put a few trades on too. We'll have to work around your
Yes,
schedule a little bit.
absolutely. I would love
Yeah, that
to.
would be
Let's do
a
this
lot.
again.
Now that we got all the pleasantries out of the way, we can trade next time. Virginia,
Absolutely.
is there anybody you would like to shout out? Anyone watching out there you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yes. My only coach that I have that taught me how to trade, which would be Jessica Ramos. She's the one who taught me how to trade. I learned how to trade Forex, but I gave that up because that was boring. She taught me how to trade stock options, and then helped advance me to become an admin in her group. So now I help coach some of the students in there as well. And then she taught me futures as well. She is just a very generous woman, and we are both mothers of 2 boys. So she knows what it's like when we have those moments where we're like, this is a lot, but we both work through this markets, motherhood, and handling the craziness together. And I could not be where I am without her help. So I am very thankful to her, Jessica. If you are watching still, thank you for taking me on 2 years ago. And when I said I've only got $500 to start this, and she said, girl, put it in your brokerage. We will figure this out. And I essentially turned that into $4,000 in 90 days, or 3,000 in 90 days. And then 60 after that, 60 days later, it turned into $4,000. And then I just never stopped learning. And then I just never stopped learning. And now I'm doing futures. And it's like, who knows? Everyone goes, what's your goal? And I go, I don't have one, because I feel like when you set a goal, then it's like, well, now what? I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I have no goal. I have no date set. I'm just going to keep going, keep matching. More interviews with Top Step. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll get to be a coach with you guys. You never know.
Awesome.
Whoa,
I love it.
Cool.
That'd be awesome.
I like
Well,
that.
Virginia, I'm gonna have to start calling you the chef because you just showed up and started cooking on Top Step TV.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Coming up
You
next.
know, they say, Megan says, she says, let them cook,
Oh man, you did cook today. You picked up a delicious meal for everybody in chat, for all of our friends and followers. However, coming up next, it is Power Hour with Andre, myself, Fatima B, and Mandy. We are finishing out what is Women's Week at Top Step. So, Virginia, thank you so much for participating in that. I mean, at this Women's Week, because y'all are just absolutely.
Yeah.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order rejected.
So let me stop this and get back to it. All right.